controller told us that these objects have been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
Is there a correlation between any of the characteristics of these UAPs, UFOs?
What we tend to see are the smaller vehicles tend to be, think of a sports car. The large ones tend to be, not always, but almost exclusively either triangular shape or boomerang shape.
Werewolves? I see dead people walking around like regular. They don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
The UFO, UAP community was fairly surprised. Shocked might be a better word.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came to some of these recoveries.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes, definitely. At Lane Cove.
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
There is now a new UFO whistleblower with some major bombshell-level statements.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
This episode is brought to you by some amazing people. Mecha Mickey, Jason Finch, Timoth Man, Sir Brian Bowden, Jay Grove, Intergalactic Wrangler, Kelly Lewis, Patrick O'Leary, Multifaceted Jules, Shelley Montgomery, Aaron's Energy 313, Eric Booth, The Diz Loki, Nathan from the Quantum Show, Gary T, T-Bone, Richard Harrison, Eddie Tabb, Diane Boss, and Jeanette Angel. And a special thank you to all of our subscribers on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Rumble. If you wish to support the podcast, you can hit the join button below to become an Eyes to That Sky member. Or if you want to join our Patreon or provide other support, the links are below in the show description. But now, on with the show. Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, where we explore the unexplained and mysterious phenomena that have occurred throughout the state of Michigan and beyond.
From UFO sightings to ghostly encounters, we delve deep into the stories, the evidence, and the theories behind these strange events.
We are your hosts. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
We are an educator duo that after an encounter with a triangular UFO in 2018 in Michigan, we decided to investigate UFOs and the paranormal. In this podcast, we will be speaking with eyewitnesses, experts, and researchers to uncover the truth about some of the most intriguing cases of paranormal activity in and around Michigan.
Our goal is not to convince anyone of the existence of these phenomena, but rather to provide a platform for discussion and exploration. So, buckle up and join us on this journey down the paranormal rabbit hole.
on an escalator.
Alrighty, hello everyone, and we are back. Right, Michelle?
Yeah, and it's a good thing considering, but that story we'll share later with everyone.
Later. But yes, we are back, and it is Sunday, June 29th, 2025, and we are back in our somewhat pseudo-secret bunker within the shadow of the great Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, and in just a few minutes, we're going to bring on returning guest for tonight, Ray Szymanski, a retired government senior scientist once stationed at the famous Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. And also the author of Swamp Gas My Ass, one of my favorite books, Alien Shades of Grays, and 50 Shades of Grays. Dun, dun, dun. You think he got in trouble for that name, Michelle?
I don't think Ray would care.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But since we only have Ray for about an hour, we're going to just do the important announcements and stuff later and bring him on. But first, we're going to tell you a little bit about Ray. If you've never seen him on the show before, he's been on a few times, and we're bringing him back for some very important announcements. But Michelle, take it away.
Well, Ray Szymanski is a 4-decade U.S. government senior scientist turned paranormal researcher and author. Ray takes you inside the top secret holy grail of ufology. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to look at alien visitation possibilities that have never been previously explored. His interest in extraterrestrials and their connection to Wright-Pat was ignited during his first week of government employment by a mentor who eventually earned promotion to the exclusive ranks of the Senior Executive Service. This intriguing backstory and many revelatory adventures are presented as Raymond investigates his way through the UFO ET phenomena, transforming from a curious, skeptical researcher to a firm believer in the extraterrestrial hypothesis. So he is relying on decades of professional experience. He does his own research, investigates available facts and theories all the way to the ground, trusting yet verifying. The result is an exclusive first-person adventure story described in a fast-read narrative illustrated by never-before-published photographs.
Yeah.
The truth is definitely in there.
Definitely. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get Ray on here. Ray, hello, sir.
Howdy. Hey, thank you, Michelle. You know what? The good thing is some of that was actually true.
Well, you can thank Amazon for that. So I couldn't find your old biography, and I was like, what in the world is going on? And the only thing that kept showing up was the one from Amazon. So I was like, let's go with it.
There we go. I'll backfill you later.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you've been on here enough now that it's like second nature for you to come on and pretty much everybody to know who you are, but just in case they didn't. So first thing we got to do.
Yes.
We got to talk about
the birthday in the house.
Right. Not only was it my birthday last week, but we also have Ray's mom's birthday, 99 years old.
99. Photo was taken yesterday. Fortunately, one of my brothers and my sister was able to get there. The other brothers are going to try to help her celebrate over the next couple of days because her real birthday is 3 July. I couldn't get there on that date. It was great. She's sharp as a tack. She still gives me grief. Like she says things, Raymond, I don't know about you.
Here's the thing. When she getting to the age of 99, she deserves to celebrate every single day of the month.
Yeah. Every
and
day.
we're gonna do that. We give her some nice gifts, and this is a very expensive raspberry bundt cake that we had custom made for her, and it was just a great day. So I want to thank you guys for for sharing this, because I promised my siblings that I would not post this on Facebook, but that does not prevent you from posting it on Facebook. Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem at all. And just real quick, when she hits 100, doesn't she get a letter from the president or something like that?
I believe so, but there was a song in Poland, a Polish song that basically said, "May you live to be 100 years." And she and my sister were singing that yesterday. So just before we left. I don't know the words, but they did a great job, and it's great. Yeah, I guess she does. So, maybe Trump will do that.
Hey, she looks great.
She looks healthy and
yeah,
happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's doing very, very well.
That's awesome. All right. So happy birthday to Mama Szymanski.
Stella Szymanski.
Stella?
Stella, Stella, like the star, Stella.
Okay. Awesome. So happy birthday. Happy 99th. And when you hit that 100 mark, I'm going to be looking to see that letter from the good old president. So, Ray, make sure you take a picture of that for us and we'll post it.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
It will be back. So first things first, Ray, before we start, we got to just give a quick shout out to Michigan Eddie for signing up for being a member for 12 months. Thank you, sir.
We got to the year.
Yes, you're a 1-year veteran. Congratulations. All right, Ray, what's been going on, man? What's up for tonight? What are you bringing us that
Well, I put a little list here because things have been really, really busy around here. We discovered that one of our walls closest to a place where apparently water was gathering had termites. So they got through, and we had to have that wall destroyed and rebuilt. I just finished in the curtain rods and stuff back up in the last few days. So we did that, and then we've got chipmunks that are digging our foundation out. So I'm on the path to eliminate that little problem. So that's been kind of interesting. There's just been a whole host of things, but in between, I've been trying to do some UFO things. And so I did a little list. And I think the first thing that I'd like to talk about is what's coming up in less than 4 weeks now. It's my visit to Wyandotte.
Yes.
If you've got a little poster up there, and I'll speak to it.
Yep. Let me.
We're testing your technical skills now.
Yes, right. Exactly. Let's see. I need to go and bring on the window. It's the window because it's not a video, so we can do this. We can do this.
Right. While you're doing that, I'll backfill, and because we don't want any dead air time.
Yep, absolutely.
I decided this year that I was going to basically take the summer off. So I told many, many people that I'm not going to be going around the country doing my talks. I made a few exceptions, but that's because there was a long lead time on them, like a year in advance. But I just decided, basically to take care of the home and do other things. And thank heavens, because there's been so much going on. But on the 25th of July, this could be my last talk. There's one other maybe in November, but there's nothing solid. But 25 July, I'm going to be at the Bacon Memorial Library in Wyandotte, Michigan. And I'll be honest, the only reason that I broke my rule and decided to do this is because it had the word bacon in it.
Everything is better with bacon.
Everything's better.
That's what they say on their website. Even though it's a library, it's like everything's better with Bacon Memorial Library.
100%.
So they got me because they had the word bacon in it. And if you're out there, Bacon, I'm expecting, like a BLT or something when I arrive, because it'll be right around supper time. It's going to be right now. It's the last one on my schedule. We're going to date my usual swamp gas talk because in August of last year, I did a talk at the Dexter Public Library, and I love the Dexter Public Library because it is like a driver and a 9-iron away from where the flying saucer landed on March 20th of 1966. And when I go up there, I have permission from the landowners to go to the special sites. So last year I was up there, and I took the names of a handful of people that said that they had stories that want to tell me, and I've interviewed all but one of them. And slowly but surely, I'm able to vet these individuals, like who they were, they have been there, are they telling the truth? So it takes a while for me to take this to bedrock and to make sure their stories are worth telling, because I can verify the who, what, where, when of their event. So slowly but surely I'm doing this, and I have more information that I will release at the Bacon Memorial Library from some of these new witnesses. If I haven't 100% verified the story, I'll make that caveat up front. So the cool thing is more of these really great, high reliability witnesses that I've discovered so far are telling me these great stories, and they all are tending to sync up. Eventually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce these people to each other so that they can have kind of a working group as time goes on. But I'm not going to do that until everybody's been interviewed, because I don't want any cross-contamination in the stories.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I've resisted that so far, but that's kind of a cool project I've been working on since last August.
So just so everybody that's clear out in the audio land, this is going to be called Not Swamp Gas, the true story of the 1966 Michigan swamp gas flying saucers, Friday, the 25th of July, 2025, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at Bacon Memorial Library. And that's located on 45 Vinewood Street, Wyandotte, Michigan. So make sure you guys look that up. I believe you have to sign up, but it's free. Is that not correct?
That is true. You have to register, and Wayne, you and I are registered.
Okay.
So they did turn it into a registration, because before the Bacon Library told me they weren't going to do registration, but you say that they are now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Bacon.
I just had to select how many seats I want. They said that they were holding seats, put my name, email address, phone number, and it just sent me a confirmation.
That's great. That's great, because I know that the person handling this was in and out with vacations and personal time and some other things, and they really honestly have not had a chance to keep me abreast of every minute by minute change. So this is good to know, and I'll make sure I post that on my Facebook page.
I'm going to go out there and assume that they're probably getting some interest in it, and they probably have some limited space they're dealing with if they're doing that. So I know the Taylor Library had to do the same thing.
Well, this is good. This is really good, because when we did Dexter in August, they have a beautiful facility. It's gorgeous. They have a 250 seat capacity lecture hall, and that was all booked. When I got there, about 20 minutes before the talk, the room was full. Every seat was taken. People were standing around the room, and there must have been at least 24 other people that came down the steps that were told, we're beyond fire marshal here, and we're told that they couldn't. And then afterwards, in the outbrief, I talked to my focal point, and they said, oh, there were dozens and dozens of people we had to turn away, and some had been registered. So there was a minor failure at the door. And we'll get to the upcoming Dexter one later. But yeah, if you're going to come, register. If you're don't register, because somebody else is going to want the seat. I'll bring enough books for every man, woman, and child, in that part of Michigan, and we'll do some pre-book sales, a nice long presentation, a question and answer session, and then for those folks who might have gotten there late, another set of book sales and signing, and who knows, we'll maybe go out for a beer or pizza afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So once again, everybody, Friday, the 25th of July, 2025, 5:30 to 8 p.m., Bacon Memorial Library in Wyandotte, Michigan. Make sure you guys get signed up for that. It's a great time. Let me go ahead and remove this and go back to here.
Great.
So now we were talking a little bit behind the scenes, and found out you were in Italy.
Buongiorno.
No.
You hanging out with the mafiosos, or what's going on here?
Like Brad Pitt in that movie, remember? It was hilarious, and that's the thing that kept going through my mind when I was sitting there in that hall to give this talk. Buongiorno. This was, I think, in 2017. It was called Children of the Stars, and it was in Milan, Italy, and I had gotten an invite by Sabrina Pieragostini, who is a nationally renowned news announcer. But she also wrote 5 books about flying saucers. And she contacted me and said, we want to give you an all expenses paid trip to Milan. And they did airfare, hotels for a week.
Wow.
They took us out to dinner. If there was a guy available for driving us around if we wanted to. And every night that we were there, first of all, there was a beautiful place in Milan where, of course, Milan is a gorgeous city, but they had an old church. And if people go up to my website or to my Facebook page, they'll see some pictures from that event. Spectacular mural in the background, and myself and Sabrina and a couple of other speakers that were there, and they're very prominent UFO personalities in Italy. It was fantastic. So fast forward now to 2025, and I was going to the United Kingdom for a week and a half to do some research, and then Italy to do some research. So I had like a 20-day trip, and I said, hey, I'm going to be in Italy, can I kind of pay you back? And you got a group that wants to host me. So, it took a couple months. They put it together, and it was in this really quaint yet famous city called Cremona, Italy. Now, if you didn't look it up, what do you think Cremona, Italy is famous for?
Olives.
It's the place where the violin was invented.
Oh.
And the man who lived there was Stradivari.
Oh, okay.
And there's now a museum, the Stradivarius Museum. And in that museum are, of course, from 1700s forward, or whenever, he was active, all the way through the modern day. It's a fabulous museum. They show you how everything is done, how it was done then, how it's done now. And there are 3 of his original violins in that museum. Well, it gets better, because every once in a blue moon, a violin master from somewhere in Italy comes in, and they take down one of those 3 violins, and he plays it in this little hall they have that seats a couple hundred people. Well, as luck would have it, the weekend I was there was one of those blue moons.
Oh, wow.
So my sponsor, Sabrina, got us tickets, and we got to hear this guy play the Stradivarius for over half an hour. And it's so close. You're literally, it's almost as if they held it in my, how all this place is. So there were no photographs that could be taken, no audio. And then he came on after his time was done, and then he played a violin that was made of the wood from a boat that brought some refugees over. And so it was about an hour concert, and then of course we got to do our thing again, post event. So it was a wonderful, wonderful time. But we in Cremona, they had like a town hall, and I gave the talk in the town hall, and it was capacity maybe 70 people. Now, here's the thing that I want to point out, because I want to dump on somebody, and I want to dump on my hometown newspaper, the Dayton Daily News, which I wouldn't use now to lie in a birdcage.
Oh, boy.
I've tried for the last handful of years, anytime I've had a local event, and the last one was in Springboro, where we had maybe 75 people show up, not capacity, unfortunately. I could not get any ink in the Dayton Daily News. And the reason is the Dayton Daily News has supported Wright-Patterson and Blue Book's position that flying saucers are not real, even though the government on 25 June 2021 came out and they wrote that 9-page UAP report that said flying saucers are real. These guys are still in denial. Well, in Italy, they have no such qualms. In fact, the newspapers were filled with stories of me coming there. I did an interview, which now is available in Italian and English, and I posted, I think, the Italian version just to be funny. And the next day, the newspaper announced that I was the #1 UFO researcher in the United States.
Well, you know.
But my local newspaper will not put my name in the paper.
So where's the worst censorship at? The United States or over in Europe, for God's sake?
No, it's Cox Broadcasting. Cox Broadcasting
Yeah.
owns the Atlanta Journal, the Dayton Daily News, hundreds of them. So it's one finger on the pulse of this thing. And, unless you're going to threaten somebody because you got photos of them having an affair, you just can't get the press out of them. So from now on, I just ignore them. But I wanted to make the point, the Italian press, they are open. They want to know.
And that was one of the things I had written down here was, how is the interest over there in Italy about UFOs? And, is there a lot of interest in that topic over there?
It's huge, which is a great segue to the next poster, because a worldwide announcement on the Michelle and Wayne Braden show is that my book is currently being translated into Italian. Nine of the 11 chapters are already translated. And
there's the proof.
Yes. And so we're kicking around ideas because it turns out that the translator has informed me that swamps don't exist in Italy because centuries ago they filled all the swamps to get rid of the plague and the malaria mosquito and all that stuff. So they don't know what swamp gas is as a cultural thing. And so we've been kicking around, well, in America, swamp gas is a euphemism for flying saucers. Everyone understands that. So the sarcastic title of swamp gas, my ass, was perfectly American, but it doesn't translate well to the Italian.
Yeah.
So we're trying to come up with something, and this was just an initial thing. This photograph has never been released before. It's actually Colonel Carroll in front of the F-106 that when he was training and learning how to fly an F-106. So I have to gooby it up so nobody can steal it later, because it may wind up somewhere else when I need it. So we're kicking around ideas. We're hoping that in the next 60 days or so, it's going to be released. It'll be available on Amazon worldwide, Italy, of course, US. People want to get an Italian copy. I don't know. But we're hoping in the next 60 days it'll happen. I'm so excited. And if that launches successfully, then the other two are in line for a translation.
I'm just happy to hear from somebody that we know, that other places like over in Europe, especially like Italy, are very interested in this topic. They must have some type of a connection with these things as well. Do you know of any like major Italian UFO stories or encounters that happened over there?
Yes, one that I looked into happened in Venice, and you had St. Mark's Basilica Cathedral. I'm not sure what they call it, but it's where supposedly one of the four evangelists, the body of St. Mark, is buried inside, and of course his bones were traveled about, and they chased them down, and they built this thing. And I did a night tour of it. If you go to Venice, this is the #1 thing you have to see. Pay the €100 or whatever to get in. It's remarkable. And the church took 500 years to decorate. The ceiling is gold leaf. Now imagine this massive cathedral. Took 500 years to do. But there was a sighting of a UFO over St. Mark's, and it's a big thing. So I went, I did an investigation. Back in the 40s, it turns out that, I hate to say his name, but Mussolini was extremely interested in this because, if I recall correctly, he or somebody close to him had a sighting. And so they were trying to sort through, is this an enemy, because we're in war or whatever. Right. And so he sent people off to go really dig in and investigate it. So there's a long modern era connection within Italy, within the culture of flying saucers. And I've been told the translator and she works with all the UFO groups around the entire country.
Oh, wow.
They're super excited to get my book in Italian because many of them don't read English. They know enough English, but
Yeah.
they're not fluent in reading or speaking. They can converse with you if you need directions or something on the street. So they're super excited about it. And if this goes over well, then we're going to do the other two. I'm trying to do updates to at least my first and last book. And so if there's any delay in getting this out, it's because I'm working on something I'd like to get included. It may be Italian centric for Swamp Gas book. I've
Okay.
got a lot of candidates, but I definitely have some updates from my very first book. And that'll eventually seep into a re-release of those books in English on the American and other markets.
I was just going to ask if you had plans for your other ones as well, and it sounds like you do. So that's great. Yeah. Let's see, what else did I have here about that? Oh, okay. This is a curveball I'm going to throw at you.
Okay.
I've asked some people this same kind of question, but speaking of presentations, with all your contacts and networks and people you're talking to within this little ufology culture of ours, do you know what's going on with the next UAP hearing? Have you heard of anything or spoken with anyone that might have some kind of idea as to what is going on with the next hearing? It's just gone.
Has it gone dead? Is that
Yeah.
why you're asking?
Yeah. Yep. No announcements, nothing anywhere about the next one. And weren't they supposed to have 2 a year or at least 1 a year? And the was it the committee of oversight committee, and I forgot what it is, national security or something like that, are supposed to be having meetings on these, and it's just dead. There's nothing. You can't find out anything.
Well, here's an interesting piece. There was a UFO conference mid-July put on by MUFON at the it's in Kentucky at the Marriott Riverview or something. They had it there 2 years ago when I was a speaker. On Saturday night, there's a special session called Metals 2.0, and MUFON has been involved in following the stories of 3 metals. One was a Russian metal they had tested. One is in the possession of a person named Larry Sikander, and the other one is in possession of a man by the name of Benny Foggin. And I understand that those 3 metals are going to be discussed in a special session, which if you just buy a Saturday pass or your weekend pass, everybody is going to be eligible to see this. And that one of the witnesses for those metals is going to be present there.
Oh,
And yes, is going to be present there and is going to give maybe a talk about, hey, it's a very old case. It goes back to the mid 90s, and they're probably going to say, hey, my name is whoever, and I'm hesitating because I actually know who the witness is.
right.
But I would never out Benny Foggin at this point. Oh, geez, I swear. All right.
Oopsie.
So Benny's going to be there, and he's going to give us a short talk, and supposedly he's going to bring a slice of his metal. But the story that MUFON is going to present is that they gave a piece of some of those metals to Congress. That Gillibrand, I'm not sure, the senator. Okay, and what's happened is that metal, at least the Sikander and the Foggin metals, have been tested by a variety of people, and it reads like a who's list. It's like AARO, you know, the AARO, it's NSA, it's Dr. Gary Nolan out at Stanford. It's, you know, just a bunch of, you know, spooky agencies and people, yet none of those people are returning the results to anybody. And so I think that's part of the discussion at the conference. It's like, what's going on here? How come only the civilians that tested it, you know, gave the results and let them go public? But these other 6 entities are not saying anything. So that's like the big catch. And I'm hoping that they delve into deep enough and give us some reason, like, all right, why do you think? You know, because I looked at the public results and I'm not fascinated by them. I don't see the big hub.
As if they're just like a common metal or maybe a different isotope of a metal, or
let me answer your question about why the people are laying low. It's possible that they want to reveal the arrow, or maybe whoever the Senator Gillibrand, whoever. So maybe that's why they're not doing the next inquiry, because they're waiting on the test results. When I looked at test results for the Benny Foggin, there was one set of test results that was headed by a guy by the name of Nick Ryder, and he's long since passed. But if you look at the isotopic for 2 elements in there, they're slightly askew of what a terrestrial number would be. So, you know, let's say the number is supposed to be 50.0 plus or minus 0.25. And so you go, okay, well, that would be 50.25 and 49.75. So that's your range. And then you go to what the expected terrestrial value is, and you say, well, is it within that range? And if you look at the Benny Foggin results, you get like a 0.001 differential. Well, that could be within, you know, the error of the testing. And so even though it's outside the range, is it really outside the range? Right. So when I looked over those results, they were unremarkable to me. I'm not an isotopic scientist. I'm just a guy that can read numbers.
Right.
And that's my interpretation. In fact, Phyllis Budinger, who seems to be the go-to test lady for MUFON, for all things MUFON, she came back and she said, well, this looks like a 4000 series aerospace aluminum. It's within the parameters of that. So she didn't say it is.
Right.
So, you know, you've got this thing nudging other knowns. And again, these test results were like 20 years ago, 10 years ago. So what happens if we test today? Maybe we have other elements, excuse me, that will test non-terrestrial.
Well, and just so everybody's clear, when we talk about an isotope, all that means is that, you know, if everybody's familiar with basic atomic structure, you have neutrons, protons, electrons. Neutrons are neutral charge. There is no charge in the neutron. They give the atom its mass, basically. Protons are positively charged and within the nucleus and so the center of the atom with the neutron, and then orbiting around that supposedly are the electrons, which are negatively charged. And so an isotope is just an atom of an element, let's say an element like aluminum. That aluminum has a certain number of protons and a certain number of neutrons and a certain number of electrons. If it has more more neutrons than protons, it's considered an isotope. That's all an isotope really is. However, we're really good in the sciences to know like where certain metals will come from, because everything is an isotope. There are no perfect, you know, perfectly equal electrons, protons, and neutrons in an atom. They're all some type, like carbon 14 is a good example. 14 being the number of neutrons within the nucleus. So all of them, everything is an isotope of something. So but we're really good at being able to track where certain isotopes of, like, I don't know, say aluminum, say iron, say, in these certain areas, and we can track how metals have been mined and moved across the world. And what's interesting, you were talking about the alien thing, the whole recent God, when was that? November-ish? Sometime when they did a scan of the Pyramid of Khufu with this new technology, and they found these pillars deep underground, underneath. That was an Italian team that found all of this, supposedly all this stuff with their technology. Now, how that's all panned out or whatever, that's gone kind of quiet as well. But again, there's an Italian team who's very much into looking into some of these mysteries, which I think is fascinating. But anyways,
well, let's quickly get back to the isotopic thing. Let's take copper. Copper has 4 isotopes, and let's say it's isotope 50, 51, 52, 53. And so you would expect numbers for those isotopes. They add up to 100% of copper, but the relative amount of each of those different 4 building blocks of copper are set in stone for terrestrial numbers. So when we test and we look at the isotopes, the 4 isotopes of copper, we expect certain results and we go, it's on planet Earth. But copper that came from the early formation of the solar system, the isotopic ratios are different. So when we examine a non-terrestrial, let's say a meteorite, and we look at the elements of the meteorite, the ratios of those elements will show that the isotopic ratios are not terrestrial. So that's how we know it's not from planet Earth. Well, that's why now that we have better testing and probably smaller tolerances for errors and that sort of thing, that those metals need to be retested and then examine the isotopic ratios. And that is the ultimate, without any doubt, whether or not it was from planet Earth or it came from somewhere else. So anyway, the publicly available results are not earth-shattering, I know, pun intended, but maybe those other agencies that have tested closer to tonight, better testing, got different results, and so they're sitting on it because it would actually validate what the owner of that rock, actually a piece of aluminum, has said. So maybe that's why Congress has gone quiet. I followed it. I think it's fascinating. I love what they're doing, and I like some of the members who are not only serious, but they aren't taking any crap from the witnesses. Like they had the 2 early witnesses there. They were the administrators, and the one administrator says, well, if we had been directed to do by an official, capacity, we would have done it. And the representative goes, well, I'm asking you, and quite frankly, I think I'm one of the officials. and he put the guy in his place, like, we're not taking any excuses, man. Just get on with it. I thought it was fabulous.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Most
talking, I thought.
Well, yeah, of course, it's when it happens when you got to talk, for an hour tonight. So
there was a crud going around, and I'm just getting over it.
Yeah, well, it's the time for the summer.
Well,
cold
and all that
flu.
traveling too.
Yeah,
it is in and out of airports. I was, excuse me, digging stuff up overseas. I don't know, what was in the soil. You just never know. Let's move on to Dexter if we can, because this is huge for me, and I think huge for everybody else.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get this pulled up here.
And I know folks out there, it sounds like one big ad, but this stuff is going to be big. And I want to give heads up to Wayne and Michelle's peeps because I think they deserve it. And I want you aware that there's going to be some queuing going on, and I want to make sure you get in the queue.
Yep.
All right. Just
So
announce.
Just
right
announce.
now. Just announce right now. Yeah, if the librarian at Dexter's seeing this, she's going to like go. Ah!
Game
Jump
on.
the gun. I reread our last email together. I don't have a contract, but all right. On the 20th of March of 1966, a man by the name of Frank Manor and his son and his family were eating a Sunday dinner, nice and quiet. Around 8 o'clock, their dogs were going out of their minds. And Frank and the son knew that that doesn't happen. So they went out to see what was happening, and they saw this bright light a couple hundred yards away. So they went out to investigate, and they got within 300 feet of this object. And I'm saying this for the audience because everybody else who wrote it down said 500 yards. You got the story wrong. I know this for a fact because I got the question posed to Ronald Manor, the witness. And Ronald said, this is years later, Ronald said, we got within 300 feet. Now, the way the story got confounded is they got within 300 feet and they got this great view and this great description, which Frank Manor eventually gave to Dr. Alan Hynek. That, after they got a long, long look at 300 feet, they were 100 yards away, folks. It's only a football field. This thing was big. Blinked out. Suddenly, another light went on 500 yards away. And that's what Frank Manor told the press. Somehow, the original sighting at 300 feet got dropped. And Dr. Hynek used that fact, that 300-foot distance got dropped, because that appeared in very few rare little side articles. He said Frank Manor was too far away to give a good description. So that's how he diminished Frank Manor's testimony. It was a lie. Hynek knew it was a lie, and the Secretary of the Air Force, when he testified in front of Congress, he repeated the lie, as did Major Quintanilla and everybody else. And so 300 feet, folks, not 500 yards. So on the 60th anniversary of this famous event, on the 20th of March, 2026, I will be in Dexter. I'm getting chills. The hairs on my arm are standing up. And we're going to actually be talking at the moment when 24 police officers and 40 citizens were on the Frank Manor property facing these flying saucers around. Now, the 21st is significant because the next night, over 80 co-eds, administrators from Hillsdale College, the civil defense director, police officers were on campus, and they watched a flying saucer hover over the Hillsdale Arboretum for 4 hours. So these are historical dates. I'm going to be same talk, same place. But what happened last year, as we mentioned earlier in the show in Dexter, 300 people showed up and they couldn't accommodate everybody. And the citizenry is still upset at Dexter Library because they registered and couldn't get in. So we're going to accommodate 500 people. Same talk, 2 different nights. Registration should open after the first of the year. We could do it now. That's stupid because people's plans have changed and they would go crazy. So January will give you a couple of months leading in, and it'll be free. We're going to have special stuff. That's all I can tell you. There will be special stuff there. You're going to want to be there. And of course, I'll have enough books for everybody in the state of Michigan.
Well, Wayne, I know where we'll be.
Yep. In March 20th and 21st.
March 21st is a Saturday.
Yep.
So this is going to be cool stuff. And I didn't create a poster for this, but there is a good possibility that during that week, I will be doing a talk on Hillsdale College campus.
Oh, excellent.
All right. That's being negotiated right now, but we don't have a date. Nothing is set. Right now is just an idea. But I'm hoping some of your friends out there hear that and start calling Hillsdale College and go, hey, is that Szymanski dude showing up in March to give a talk? And maybe we can push things along a little bit. So
yeah, well, they
that's
will.
cool stuff. I'm so excited. I love Dexter. I'm stoked for this. It's my favorite place in the world to give a talk.
Now, we had a guest on back about 3 months ago, Barbara DeLong. Do you know her?
I do not.
She was telling us, and I told her to get in contact with you. She was a student at EMU, and she witnessed the UFO land in the EMU like parking lot area. I think it was a parking lot or the stadium or where, big field. And it took off when the cops showed up. It took off. It hovered outside her window where everybody was seeing it. And then it just disappeared right out of sight, just gone. And she said, without a noise or anything, it was just, amazing. And that kind of got her really involved in this stuff, and to where she's now doing her own shows and things like that. But her name is Barbara DeLong. And
can you offline send me contact information?
Yeah, absolutely. I can. And I actually, I'll send you the link to I did a clip of her interview and put it up on our YouTube channel of her talking about her close encounter that changed everything for her at EMU in 1966. And it's the same exact craft, man.
So they're in Ypsilanti, which is, the neighbor to Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, I'll send you all that. But everybody out there in listening land, so this event is going to be called Swamp Gas My Ass, special presentation celebrating the 60th anniversary. Right. It's going to be March 20th and 21st, 2026 at the Dexter District Library, Dexter, Michigan. So it's going to be free, but there is going to be registration that's required. Registration will open up in January of 2026. So coming up in a few months. And it's going to be limited to 250 seats. Now, like Ray was saying, the last time he was there, people got kind of left off to the side because they didn't have enough seats. People in that area will come to this event for sure. So as soon as registration opens, you guys got to jump on it and grab a seat, because 250 seats are going to be gone probably pretty quickly there. So you want to make sure you reserve your spot. Again, it's all free, and they'll have more information as we get closer to January, so you guys can register. Anything else you want to add on that, Ray?
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Some of the witnesses to that event may show up.
Ooh. And it's two nights, the 20th and 21st of March.
It's 2 nights. Please show up one night only if you can, if we have room, but we're going to strictly enforce the door, because it didn't happen last time. It wasn't her fault. She was trying to solve some technical issues prior to my, taking the stage, and people just slipped past. We're not but facility is going to make sure that only the people that register get seated first. And then if there's spaces afterwards, they'll accept walk-ins.
Okay.
And the last time we had a crowd of about 20 people join me at the local watering hole, where we swapped stories for a couple of hours. It was awesome. It was totally awesome. And we plan on doing the same thing. We had so much fun.
Trust me, I still remember your stories from when we went to the local watering hole after the Taylor Library.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I really enjoyed that, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
that was
so
a great
much.
evening.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to do it again when you hit Wyandotte. Remember, everyone, July 25th.
Yep.
So Bacon Memorial, Bacon Library.
Everything's better with bacon, even
everything's
the
better
presentation.
with bacon. Hey, listen, We only have like 5 minutes to go.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So why don't we pull up another major? We're just exclusiving you people
Yes.
to death here tonight. And by the way, this little inflatable alien guy was actually owned at one time by Colonel Gary Kent Carroll, the hero of Swamp Gas My
No
Ass.
way.
Yes, that is his. And when he passed on, his widow said, Gary wanted you to have this. And so here he is. I keep him in a different place. I'm actually kicked out of my office because remember I said we got lots of things going on? Well, my office, there's an issue that has to be resolved. And so I kicked myself out and I have to refurbish my office. And so here we are having a fireside chat.
Yeah, that's awesome though. That's great that he was
He thought
Colonel
of me.
Carroll.
That
All
is
right.
Colonel Carroll's alien. Hey, let's get to the Michigan.
Yes, here we
Michigan
go.
event.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The big reveal. Put on.
Who?
Here we go. So this is the Swamp Gas UFO Conference, May 2nd, 2026. And this is at the Kilgore Scottish Center, 2363 Rochester Road, Troy, Michigan. And speaker number one is our guest. It's Ray. Ray, what's going on with this, man? You're just hot, man. You're all over the place.
Well, we got the anniversary year coming up, and I haven't even begun looking for work next summer, but I expect it to be busy, and people have been contacting me. So it's really cool. Bill Konkoleski, as you know, is the head of Michigan MUFON. It's been several years since I've been up there to actually give a presentation to his group. And I guess since I wrote the book and solved the mystery and proved that it was a flying saucer, I qualified. They did this several years ago, near kind of the anniversary, but I told them I wasn't available in March, so they moved it to the spring, which is really a better time of the year for everybody. So I'm going to be there. It's going to be in Troy, Michigan. I don't know who the other two speakers are, but I'm sure with all of Bill's connections, they're going to be really big names. We're kicking around, the cost for this, and I basically, gave them rock bottom for to get me there because it's a Michigan thing, it's a swamp gas thing, and I've had very good connections to all the MUFON organizations. Just a couple months ago, I went and did the MUFON Indiana. So I've done Indiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, Michigan. I can't get the Ohio guy to even answer. The Ohio MUFON guy, Wortman.
You're blacklisted.
In Ohio, I'm blacklisted. 5 years. I've tried to get Wortman to answer my emails. He will not even show me the courtesy to answer my emails. I don't know. Maybe he's afraid of the competition, or maybe he's afraid I'm going to out him as a phony or something. I don't know what his paranoia is, but he will not contact me. So in any event, there you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to diss you, Bill, but you earned it. Anyway, it's going to be sponsored by Michigan MUFON, and it's going to be fantastic. And again, I can't present everything that I know about this at every presentation. So again, there'll be some special things that have never been revealed before that will get revealed at this conference. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are too. I already told Bill that, or the conch as we call him, that we're going to be there. So Michelle and I will be at all these events.
Well, I'm registered for Wyandotte.
Yep.
And
So yeah, for sure.
Wyandotte's a lovely little city on the river.
Yeah.
So you'll
have a good time there.
And
All
you
right.
guys are close, right? You're only 45 minutes away. So
Yeah, if that. Yep. But yeah, we'll be seeing you guys. Everybody will, Michelle and I will be there as well. So
yeah, we'll be at Wyandotte. We'll be at Dexter.
bring some literature to pass out, and
We'll be at Troy.
We'll introduce you. We'll introduce you so that
Yeah.
more people who might not be logged in and connected can get connected.
Yeah, exactly. And if there's anybody that, wants to reach out and share their story and they want to remain anonymous, we can give them contact information so they can write us and we can pass their stuff off to whoever, they want to share that with as well. So, yeah, that's awesome, Ray. So we're at exactly 1 hour. Any last things you want to drop on us before you head out?
No, I'm just staying super busy. There's a lot of things in the works, and once they're ready for public revealing, I'll actually do that. But you covered all the cool things, all my upcoming big events, and the fact that one of my books currently is being translated into Italian. We're struggling for a title to make it relevant to that part of the world. But we'll let everybody know. We'll send you links and all that stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to it.
And we got to celebrate Stella's birthday online.
Yes,
thank you so much. I so appreciate that.
You can show your siblings this video.
Oh, I'm going to send them links, and they might be a little upset, but you know what?
You know what? Here's the thing.
They're my siblings.
She is living a long, beautiful life.
Yes.
So absolutely.
Yep. All right, Ray. Well, we're going to go ahead and cut you loose, and Michelle and I are going to talk with our chats here for a little bit, and then call it an evening ourselves. So thanks a lot, Ray, for reaching out, and glad we could get you on tonight.
Looking forward to see you in about 4 weeks.
Yep, we'll see you in a few weeks.
We'll see you soon. Take care.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody.
I love Ray.
Yeah, Ray is awesome.
He's a good dude.
Yep. And there's some massive breaking news for you guys. Just some great stuff going on there. So once again, let's run down these dates here just so that we are.
All right. So we have
the not swamp gas. That's Friday, the 25th of July, coming up here, 2025. 5:30 to 8:30 at the Bacon Memorial Library, 45 Vinewood Street, Wyandotte, Michigan.
You have to register.
You have to register. They did make that a requirement now. Then the next thing we have is Swamp Gas My Ass in Dexter, the 60th anniversary of the Michigan 1966 UFO debacle that happened. All right. 250 seats per event. And last time Ray was there, they had about 350 people show up and not enough seats. So registration will be required on this one. And they will not open that up until January. So that'll be at the Dexter District Library in Dexter, Michigan.
So you know what I'm doing New Year's Day. I'm on Christmas break.
Yeah. So March 20th and 21st, 2026 will be that event. So make sure you guys get signed up for that. And then last, but definitely not least, let me pull up the other flyer here. It's somewhere here. Swamp Gas UFO Conference, May 2nd, 2026. So that's at Kilgore Scottish Center, 2363 Rochester Road, Troy, Michigan, 48083. So right now, Ray is the first confirmed speaker, and there are 2 speakers left that are to be determined. So it's being put on by Michigan MUFON.
And we've had the Conk on before.
Yeah,
so.
we've had Bill Konkoleski on a couple times, and you might know him from Unsolved Mysteries. He was in the show with who was it? Geez, why am I blanking on his name? Our buddy from Florida, Michelle, the radar operator. The radar operator. Jack what?
Bouchon.
Jack Bouchon. That's it.
And they say women going through menopause have memory issues. Nope.
No, I'm going through menopause.
This guy turns 55, starts hitting menopause.
It's menopause. I couldn't remember. But anyway, so Bill was in that episode on Unsolved Mysteries talking about the 1994 UFO thing. So, all right. Well, Michelle, I guess we need to talk about our trip and stuff before we
we also need to, I know it's a little bit late in the show, so we didn't do our normal shout outs at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to everyone who has joined us in chat. So hold on.
Hold on. Let's do this right. First of all,
What is he doing?
so Michigan Eddie, member for 12 months. Finally got to 1 year, he says. Yes. Thank you, Michigan Eddie. You did it. Keep going, sir. Keep going. Don't give up. Diane Boss, a member for 21 months since we started doing our live show. She says, love you guys, with all the little alien emojis and stuff. We love you too, Diane. Thank you very much for sticking around now for almost 2 years. And then last but not least, Kelly Lewis is now a member for 15 months. And her response is, woohoo. Well, there you go. We're saying woohoo too. Thank you very much for being a member, and we really appreciate it. All right, Michelle, you take over.
So remember, if you have a story that you would like to share with us or contact the show, you can email us at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com. Wayne's menopause was starting to go into my brain for a second there.
Oh, sure. Blame me. Just
Make
'cause
sure
I'm the
that you
husband.
smash that like button, share us out.
Yep. Especially if you guys are into historical UFO information, your friends are going to want to know what's coming up with Ray here. He's a great researcher and his books are fantastic. And also, if you want to support the podcast, you can do so with PayPal, Super Chats, buy us a coffee, check out our merchandise store, or join the Patreon. All those links can be found down below in that show description. If you do decide to become a YouTube member or a Patreon member, you will get a shout out during the intro and be listed in the credits at the end of the show as a thank you for your support. What else do we got, Michelle?
Let's see. Next Sunday, July 6th. Guys, we have no idea what's coming up.
It's 4th of July.
We've got some ideas.
Yeah.
And it would definitely center around Michigan a little bit more, and specifically a county to the south of us.
Yeah, something to do with Monroe, possibly.
Yeah, so our Monroe peeps might be represented.
Well, Monroe is a little
it's a little hot spot out near Laplaisance Road.
It's a little spooky out there. Oh, and look at that. Diane Boss hits us with a super chat. Thank you very much. We love you too.
Happened out of the corner of my eye. I saw that.
Yes.
That teal green box.
Yep.
So be on the lookout for next Sunday. We know it's a holiday weekend, but you know what? 4th of July is on Friday. Everybody can get their groove on Saturday and rest up and listen to us on Sunday.
Yeah, for real. So we're on summer break now. And so God only knows what we might be cooking up here. We do have a couple little trips that we're taking. Nothing major.
Yeah, we have a family reunion coming up, and we've got another really cool trip coming up in August, but we'll tell you guys more about that one later. I just happened to stumble upon it. But let's talk about where we've been and the fact that we're back alive to talk about it. So we don't know how much you guys watch the news, and especially what goes on out west. We went to Lake Tahoe for Wayne's 55th. It was a way that I surprised him. I love, booking through this one particular casino. I'm not going to do a plug because it's advertising for them then. And unless they want to pay me royalties, then that's a whole different story.
Right.
So we land in Reno. We're driven down, a beautiful drive down to Lake Tahoe. Thank you, Shelly.
Shelly hitting us with a super chat. We see you. There you go.
And
awesome. Thank you very much. It's a dono. There's no message there.
We get
love you for it. Thank you, Shelly.
We get down to from Reno down to the hotel that we were staying at, which is the old Harvey's. They've changed the name again. Whole different story. But I had like an itinerary of things that we were going to do. And we got in on Friday night, and I had paid for this lovely cruise that was going to happen at 2:30 the next afternoon on Lake Tahoe. Wayne and I have done this cruise before, not during the day. We've done like the sunset evening cruise.
It's a nice couple-hour cruise on Lake Tahoe.
Yep. It had become a tradition for us since we got married out there in 2017 that whenever we went back to Tahoe, we would always go out on the lake on, the cruise through Zephyr Cove. Well, lo and behold, our shuttle picks us up at the hotel across the street. We get down there, the bus is full, and driver drops us off, and he's looking at the water saying, oh, it's a big boat. It, will be steady enough going out on those waves. And we're looking at the waves, and there's white caps.
Yeah.
Now,
and I'm telling Michelle, I'm not going out on this thing. Like,
now
it's the weather got horrific in an instant.
So Lake Tahoe, for those who have ever seen it, this is a very calm lake. This is one that people go out on, like those, well, I don't want to, like paddle boards.
Yeah, paddle boards,
it's that kind of lake. Well, what had happened was a storm had come over the Cascade Mountains and collapsed on the lake, causing these 8-foot swells.
And just with that being said, let's go ahead and watch.
Wayne's now hold on before you play the video. I get a text after we're back on the bus, after our captain called it and said we're not going out on the water. I get a text from my bestie, and she goes, "Did you see this?" And Wayne, go ahead and play it.
Okay, so this is from CNN. Freak storm leads to tragedy on Lake Tahoe. We were in line to get on the giant tour boat that was docked there.
So at the time that this boat was capsizing, we were on the dock ready to board the MS Dixie to go out on the lake.
Check this out. And fair use, educational use, CNN, we were right there, by the way. Look at that water.
The Coast Guard reported 6 to 8 foot swells, 30 knot winds, and even snow when a freak storm rolled over Lake Tahoe.
Okay, so you see the boats that have been washed up. There were boats that were flipped over at the dock where we were at. And if you look in the background here, this dock right here, this isn't where the MS Dixie, is that what it was? The MS Dixie, right?
No, this is
no. The name of the boat.
Oh, MS Dixie.
Yeah,
but that's not the dock.
This is not the dock, but this is the same effect. The water was going over the dock. These waves were so high. They were hitting 8 feet, 10 feet. They were high. So check this out.
A time lapse over 2 hours shows just how quickly the storm became violent.
In 2 hours, this storm dropped on top of the lake. Watch this.
The Coast Guard says a 27-foot Chris Craft boat capsized, leaving 6 dead, 2 hospitalized, and 2 missing. The Coast Guard suspended its search for the 2 missing passengers after covering over 390 square miles for 12 combined hours.
Yeah. So that was the deal.
I don't know if this video goes on. They did find the remaining 2. So at the same time that Wayne and I were standing on that dock to board the MS Dixie, which is literally a 3-story like riverboat, like motorized riverboat that goes out, where you have like completely open up top so that people can, be outside on the boat. Then they have a second cabin that has like a dance floor and a bar and a gift shop. And then they have the lower level where you can actually like purchase food and stuff, where they were going to have lunch provided. And we're watching water come up over onto the first level of the MS Dixie with the water pouring off. Water's coming up over the dock. And when I'm telling you, I'm standing there, I didn't pack for snow in June out in Tahoe. 60-degree temps. When I saw like 50 and 60, I'm like, dang, that's kind of cold for June. But when I'm seeing this water come over the dock, I'm standing there very cold and apprehensive. Wayne obviously is very apprehensive. We're just waiting for the captain to call it, because there were well over 100 people that were going to go on this boat.
Yeah.
This experience could have been so catastrophic, even more so than the 8 lives that perished. But
because there's no swimming in that water.
No,
you could have a flotation device on. There is nothing that was going to keep you.
And I can't swim, so And there's so many stories about, maybe that's another thing. Next Sunday, we can talk about some of the stories of Lake Tahoe, and what's going on in the bottom of that lake.
Yeah.
And Tahoe Tessie, because they've got their own.
Yeah, they got their own lake monster.
Lake monster that has stories behind her. I'm assuming that.
Look at what Dorothy says. Do you believe in guardian angels? I would if I were you. Don't go out there. I wasn't going.
I will tell you,
I'm smart.
The company, like our driver had said, they don't willy-nilly cancel things when they've got over 100 people. And not only did they cancel the tour that we were going out on, they canceled the rest for the evening. So what was crazy, Wayne and I, just a few hours later, we ended up going to a later dinner that night, and we're on the 19th floor of this hotel, and it overlooks the lake. The lake was perfectly calm.
Yeah, but what did I point out to you that was on, a couple miles along the shore of the lake, the flashing lights?
Oh, where they were doing
searching for the bodies and stuff. Yeah.
So literally,
and we knew nothing about that at the time. And I just wonder if the reason that they called it when they did was because there were reports of this ship going, this boat capsizing with people on it. And I'm sure the captain was looking at that water and going, "Oh no!"
And we were watching the all the sea-doos and stuff that they have anchored. Those things were just about flipping over.
Oh yeah.
On their side,
they were trying to keep them
anchored so that they didn't end up.
Stuff, yeah. It was really bizarre, but
other than that, I will say that we had a great time around the place. Honestly, that feels, besides Laughlin, which I always got to represent.
Yeah.
Which is like second home.
In the desert.
We love Tahoe. For those who live in Michigan, it's like Frankenmuth with mountains.
Yeah. 7,000 feet up. So be prepared for a little bit of altitude sickness. And,
is it only 7,000?
Yeah, like 7,200.
I was going to say the air is pretty thin. It takes a minute to get used to it.
Yeah.
But we had the joke that we were looking for.
Yeah, you're. I know what you're.
We found a little buddy there.
Bigfoot. Let's just say we went looking for Bigfoot and we found Bigfoot. Now, it wasn't exactly where we expected to find Bigfoot.
Where did we find him? Man, he's a scandalous little thing.
He's all covered up in our bed. What is going on here, dude?
Is he not stinking cute, guys? Look at him.
So there you go. Look at this guy. Who couldn't love Bigfoot with a face like that?
I absolutely love my Tahoe Bigfoot.
Hold on. There you go. So
he is adorable. He's got like Tahoe on his foot.
He's got one of those cattle brands on the bottom of his foot that says Lake Tahoe.
I love to get unusual stuffed animals, and the fact that this was in the gift shop at the casino, it was like, he's got to come home with me. Along with the cookies. So, but we won't talk about those because then I feel like I got to order some and have them shipped to the house. But I will tell you, between just the walking around and the fresh air, and God, what a scary adventure.
Yeah, that the water
for
thing.
A moment.
Well, and then that night we go out for my birthday dinner, and we're up on the 19th floor, as Michelle was saying earlier, of the casino, the hotel, where they're big fine dining places. And Michelle tells them it's my birthday and stuff, and I'm being called birthday boy and all of this. Really great dinner. But who comes walking in to sit with some people at a table across from us but the one and only Martha Stewart?
And she did
was
not
there.
have Snoop Dogg with her, guys.
No, she didn't have Snoop Dogg with her. Will you stop it? Jeez.
I would have been asking for autographs.
No, stop. No, but yeah, it was either Martha Stewart
Or her identical twin.
Identical twin, and I don't think so. I heard her talking to the waiter, and it even sounded like her. And then they moved tables away from all the plebes. So, you know.
They wanted a booth.
They wanted a booth. That's right. So anyways, yeah, so that was it was an interesting trip. And then of course, when we fly out of Detroit, well, we didn't fly out of Detroit. We had to go to Grand Rapids, and we flew out of Grand Rapids. It took us 4.5 hours. The winds were so strong. It took like 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours to get to Reno. You fly into Reno. So we land, we get on the bus, we're waiting. Everybody's freaking out because it's windy as hell and cold. And finally get the bus loaded up. We're heading back after waiting about 40 minutes, 45 minutes for everybody to get their luggage and all that good stuff. And we're on the bus going through the mountain roads from Reno to Tahoe. And then you hear the bus driver say something you never want to hear a big charter bus driver say.
My oil light's coming on.
My oil light's coming on. I'm going to have to pull over here. It's saying to shut off the motor. What?
Between that and when I checked my luggage for the first time in years, and I mean years. And of course, what was it? We were stuck like an extra 20, 30 minutes while somebody's suitcase was so big and it got lodged in there sideways. It jammed everyone up. So
yes.
So spent a little bit longer at the Grand Rapids airport.
Yeah, for the luggage mishap, right? So, but anyways, it was a good trip. So that's why we didn't have our show. And I did post up on our YouTube community forums up there. So if there's not going to be a show or something like that, you know, always check our community post on our YouTube channel. And we'll let you guys know.
There's probably a very strong chance, guys, July 20th, we will be traveling back north from the family reunion.
Yeah, so we'll probably either do a show like before we go on that trip or possibly like the day after we get back. So it might be an off day or something like that. But we'll figure it out and we'll keep you guys posted. Let's see, as we get ready to leave here. And we get ready to close this down for the evening. If you guys haven't been to our YouTube channel, make sure you get there and see Michelle and I. What started all this for us, I went ahead and used AI and made about a 1:40 to 2-minute video that describes the encounter that Michelle and I had back in 2018, March 9th, 2018, to be exact, with the black triangular UFO in Canton, Michigan. So if you want to check that out, I highly advise it. You would see what kind of started this whole journey for us. Now, there's some details that are not exactly right because, you know, the way AI does things, and I've been trying to play with AI and learn a little bit more about it.
It just goes off sequencing of the roads.
Yeah,
it was like as we're driving on 275.
Yeah,
like we were
southbound
on Ford Road.
Yeah, no, we were on Ford Road getting onto southbound 275. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, those were videos and clips and stuff put together by AI and me doing some scripting and typing things in and playing around with it. So make sure you check that out. I guess that's really it. And we'll let you guys know about next weekend.
And any of you Michiganders, again, Bacon Memorial Library, July 25th. I just transferred over some concert tickets to a friend of mine because I had won some concert tickets for that night. I gave up my Shinedown concert.
We're getting too old for that
to go hang out with Ray.
We're too old for that stuff now, Michelle. No more Motley Crue and Metallica and all that stuff. And we did go to Disturbed last year. That was fun.
You know what? And of course, like if Aaron Lewis is in town,
well, that's
always
country.
Got to catch Aaron Lewis show.
So, all right, everybody. Michelle, I think with that being said, what do you think?
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody. You know who you are. It's everybody.
including our guardian angels.
Yes.
Dorothy is right.
Yeah.
Including our guardian angels on that trip.
Yep, for sure. So remember, everybody, keep those eyes to that sky and have a great night.
Have a great week, everyone.
Are we out?
We are out.
Wait a minute. I got to push that button right there.